What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel Reason Through Time, which is the companion piece to the podcast by the same name, Reason Through Time. A quick update on the channel, because I haven't really been posting that many videos on the YouTube. Everything else is really, I've been focusing pretty much on the podcast, which is available on pretty much every platform, Spotify, Google Podcasts, iTunes, Spreaker, you name it, it's on there. So definitely check out the podcast, because that's really where I voice most of my opinions. The YouTube channel is more of a lighthearted, just me talking about, it could be me going somewhere, or in this case today it's gonna be just giving you some more books to read that one is not done, the other one is, but and then the other thing is, another quick update will be on the podcast, which is, it's aired on Mondays and Tuesdays 7 a.m. sharp, and then on Friday evenings, no Pacific time. And then the YouTube channel, what I want to do is I want to put up videos on Wednesdays and Thursdays by 12 p.m. So the way it's going to look is, Monday, Tuesdays, you get the podcast on 7 a.m. Wednesdays, Thursdays, you get the video on YouTube by 12 p.m. And then on Fridays, you get an extra podcast by Friday evening, no Pacific time. That being said, let's get on with today's topic. Well, not really topic, but just the books I've been reading and why I chose this book that I'm reading right now. The last book I read, the past several books I've been reading, really, it's been more like documentary type, basically, better yet, non-fictional books. Excuse me. And this is the last one I read. It's called Ordinary Men. All right, Ordinary Men. And, well, I don't want to give anything away. It's a good read. It's very short. It's by Christopher R. Browning. And I'm just going to read the back of the book. First, I'm going to give you the little short quote from New York Times book review. Helps us understand better than we did before, not only what they did to make the Holocaust happen, but also how they were transformed psychologically from ordinary men of the title into active participants in the most monstrous crime in human history. So now I'm going to go into the synopsis of the book. Ordinary Men is the true story of Reserve Police Battalion 101 of the German Order Police, which was responsible for mass shootings as well as roundups of Jewish people for deportation to Nazi death camps in Poland in 1942. Browning argues that most of the men of RPB 101 were not fanatical Nazis, but ordinary middle-aged working-class men who committed these atrocities out of a mixture of motives, including the group dynamics of conformity, deference to authority, role adaptation, and the altering of moral norms to justify their actions. Very quickly, three groups emerged within the battalion. A core of eager killers, a group who carry out their duties reliably but without initiative, and a small minority who evaded participation in the acts of killing without diminishing the murderous efficiency of the battalion whatsoever. While the book discusses a Pacific Reserve unit during World War II, the general argument Browning makes is that most people are susceptible to the pressure of a group setting and committing actions they would never do of their own volition. It's a good book, man. It's a great book to read, because it basically, after reading the book, it's something I've always known. It's kind of like having the wolf pack mentality, which is, you're part of a group, even though you're not a killer or murderer, but you become part of the, of the pitchforks and let's go kill the person or type group. And so every one of us can become that person. okay? And Ordinary Men goes into it, how, and I think the title it speaks for itself, is these men who were police officers, and then when the Nazi regime took over, they became the most vile people within that regime. They were doing killings and tortures and you name it. So how can that happen? How can these men who never killed before become these monsters? And the book goes into it. That being said, love the book, but sometimes it's good to read nonfiction books and reading documentaries and learning about history and stuff like that, but sometimes it becomes too much. So this is when I picked up this book. I wanted something very lighthearted, very soft, even though this is an adult book per se, because I would not recommend this for kids because some of the things are adult in the book, but it's still good. And so the book that I'm talking about, I mentioned this briefly in one of my episodes in the podcast, but if you're wondering what this is just to keep the book safe when I'm carrying it around places. And that is Fable, which is Compendium 1. There's 2 of them. But this is the first one, and I'm pretty much halfway through. As you can see, I'm halfway through the book. Just about, I think it's 1,176 pages, about. All right, so I love the book, man. Thus far, matter of fact, I'll read you guys the back part of the book. When the villainous creature known as the Adversary conquered the fabled homelands, characters from famous folklore were displaced and forced to go into hiding as everyday citizens in modern-day New York City. Now these fables reside in a secret, magical community of Upper West Side luxury apartments building known as Fabletown. Okay, and then, so you basically get the gist. Basically, the fables, you name them, Cinderella, Humpty Dumpty, the Big Bad Wolf, the 3 Little Pigs, you name all the fables, right? They were basically forced out, or basically they had to flee from their homelands because they only call it the Adversary, okay? They only call it the Adversary. That's all we know of it. We know, well, at this point, I got enough information to get a little bit more of who the Adversary is, but even that information is it's not much, okay? And I just find it fascinating that they were able to take all these characters from our fairy tales and basically put them in modern times where now they live amongst us in secret. And it's just dope. It's just dope because what I like about it, when the book is broken up in many parts. So they have this one story. I forgot what it's called. Let's see if I can find it right quick. Well, I think this is one of them. See if I could get to the beginning part of it. This is when they are leaving to go to the farm. Okay, here we go. So this part is called Road Trip, Part 1 of Animal Farm. Okay, so I believe the Animal Farm is 4 parts. Okay, and so what I like about it is that it gives you stories within parts, but then it also goes back in time to tell you some of the backstory of some of the fables. Okay, like Jack, what's his name? Jack and the Beanstalk. It gives you a little backstory of how he got his name. So it's a good book it's a good book to pick up if you're tired of reading. Not tired, but you kind of like burned out in reading books that are very serious, and especially a book like Ordinary Men, which is going into the Holocaust and just, man, like the shit that happened within that time period. Sometimes it becomes too much. So if you're looking for something just lighthearted and fun to read, and you get a lot of great artwork within the book as you're reading through it, you're pick up this one, Fable. Definitely pick this up. So far it's been a fun read. I freaking love the stories. Characters do die, because it's not, they, even though they have come to our world, it's not all, what's that word I'm looking for? It's not all peaches. It's not all good. You get what I'm saying? So, because there are certain fables that are not liking their situation they're living in. Because again, you have the fables that are able to pass as humans, living in luxury apartments up in New York City. And then you have the fables who cannot look like humans, right? Because they are, like the Three Little Pigs, for example. They have to live in the farm because they cannot pass for, you can't have them walking around New York City or any other place at that in our world. You get me? So they have to be forced to live in a farm, and they cannot leave out of that place. And if they want to live in New York City and live amongst everyone else, well, they have to buy this thing called glamour. But the problem with the glamour, which is a spell, it's expensive to come by. So now the fables have created this two-tier class. You got the high class and the low class. And the low class pretty much can't do jack shit. So there's now beef going on, and that's where trouble goes in, and there's you can say there's like a little mini civil war that breaks out, and maybe mini is not the right word, but just to say a civil war broke out between the fables of the farm and then those that live in Fabletown. Excuse me. But again, I love how they break down stories. They break it down in parts. I love how they go back to tell the backstories, because especially if there's certain fables you don't know of, because there's certain fables I didn't know of, and they went into the backstory of those fables. So that's pretty good, because then as you continue to read, you're able to get the big picture and overall of what's happening. And like, oh, now you know why this guy's like this, or why she's like this, and why the pig does this, because now you also get the backstory for each and every one of them. All the while, the story keeps progressing forward. So there's like, it's just fucking dope, because even though when it goes backwards into the Fables origin story, it's not like a stop, because it's still moving the story forward, because you're seeing where it's going to lead to. You get me? It has been written perfectly so far. So far, I'm having fun with the fucking book. It's just dope as shit. And again, the bonus is the artwork within the story, and you get different artworks too, because you got. Let me show you. This is one. This is another one. This is American Jacktails, and what I like about it, you get the little. Let me see if I can find it. Okay, here we go. So before the story starts, they tell you who is it written by, illustrated by, lettered by. So it gives you the different artists and the cover art by and things like that, so you can get an understanding of all the people that work within that story arc. And this is Bag of Bones, and this is the story of Jack, and which is I didn't know about him, and I was able to get the backstory of this character, of this fable. And it's pretty dope, especially with the little. I don't want to get. Matter of fact, I'm not saying anything, but yeah, guys. If you're looking for something other than non-fiction that's entertaining, and if you like art and maybe like a comic style, it is even though there's a part here where it's not comic, it's just all words, and it has to do with the big bad wolf. But if you're looking for something like that, lighthearted, fun to read, and seeing your favorite fable characters growing up into a modern story, this is the book to pick up, because as you get everything. You get a great story, you get artwork, beautiful artwork, in my opinion, and yeah, it's just fun. It's just fun to read. So yeah, guys, this is a short one. That's another thing too about the channel. It's gonna be lighthearted, but it's also gonna be short and sweet, perfect. I'm gonna go straight to the topic at hand, and whatever that may be. Or maybe I could just not even be here and be going somewhere and just videotaping me going to a new restaurant or whatever. But that being said, guys, thank you for the watch. Definitely check out the podcast, Reason Through Time. And yeah, thank you. Peace.